It's time for Peer versus Peer, or PvP as it may be known, one-on-one debates of a game both of us have recently completed, and our breakdown, analysis, impressions, and final recommendation of said game. Tonight's PvP is Dying Light. I am Scott Thurlow, and I was debating this game, or discussing it, if you will, with Chris Morgan. We both recently played it to its full completion, and overall, I quite enjoyed this game. I guess as a quick summary, I would say it was Dead Island done right, basically. You know, like they did everything. It basically was more or less the same engine from Dead Island, but it was so much more robust. They did better things with it. That the level design, I think, was better. Even, everything about it, the AI, the enemies, the weapons, etc. I think we may agree that if Dead Island was this game, we would have loved Dead Island a lot more. Dead Island kind of fell flat, and I liked it. Of course, we both like zombie games, but I think if this had been done earlier, it would have gotten them more fans. They would have been more respected for it.
I agree. I like the game. I like the game an awful lot. It was the ending that I have a problem with, and I'll get to that. But up until, I'd say, for 3/4 of the game, it's a really well done game. It's got a serviceable story, but the side quests are really, really interesting. Mm-hmm. The gameplay is awesome, and the nighttime stuff where you have the ramped up zombies was fantastic. I mean, it really got the best aspects of survival horror before you were able to make night vision potions, before you had enough safe houses and just regular places where you could go and hide from the UV light. So 3/4 of this game is really great. And the middle of the game is where you're actually at the antagonist's hideout. You've gotten all your gear taken away from you, and there's just like these lame weapons lying around.
Yeah.
But what was really cool is this came at a certain point in the game where you would have the ability to disguise yourself as a zombie and still use your stealth kills. And yeah, there's stealth kills in this. There's parkour and stealth kills, and it gave you. Yeah, you're overmanned, and then when the bosses would come out, it really was a lot harder to take care of. But overall, it gave you a chance. So 3/4 of this game, I'm giving a thumbs up to.
I agree. Like as I said, I thought the level design, so what it was is that even the boss zombies, you had the spitter guy, the huge monster zombie, it was the same. You had seen it in Dead Island. They used it. It was obvious that they used it again. But they streamlined it so much better. There's 0 bugs. I encountered 0 bugs.
No, I didn't count any bugs
in my game. And we, anybody who's played Dead Island probably did. And we both played. We played Riptide and the first one, and there were many bugs. It was weird. The map was weird, even all that shit. But something you said, I agree with you. The nighttime mechanic thing was really well done. What a innovative, in a sense, mechanic. I like that a lot. It was sort of badass. The zombies. You're saying something many zombie games, sure, you mow them down en masse, a lot, all the time. But you were being hunted at night, and it was scary. Even in the plot, they're don't go, they wouldn't let you go out at night until you play a couple, main missions. They're don't go out at night, you'll be fucked, you're dead. And when you could go, it was fucking tense. It was very well done survival horror. And yes, something you said, Chris, quickly, the Walking Dead, there was a skill you could learn, in which when you killed the zombie, you could basically rub their viscera on you, and then you'd be disguised for a short period of time, so you could walk up to them and stealth them all, and they wouldn't see you. You're basically camouflaged, and that was really fun and cool too.
That was really cool, and I think the nice touch was when you were at night, it wasn't quite as good as when you get the night vision potion or something, but everything kind of grayed, and you had an advantage, being out at night.
Yeah.
And with the nighttime mechanic, what was really, really cool is, number one, the first mission they send you on, you have no nighttime survival skills. You're getting killed a lot. You're bumping into stuff a lot. And it's one of these things when you're playing a game and you're I've got an hour to play. It's just I'm not going out at night. It becomes too stressful.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, agreed.
But once you have safe houses, the UV traps...
once you get perked up a bit.
The nighttime is still freaking dangerous, but you've got so many more... You have so much of a better chance. I got to the point where just to get XP, because I was running out on agility, to really ramp up agility, I would go and get what do they call the stalkers? The nighttime zombies.
I forget what they're called. They have a generic zombie name or whatever it is.
I would just run and run and run and have them chase me. And I got really good parkouring at night. And, I just like run to a safe house and I would just rack up all sorts of stuff. The nighttime play, I cannot speak enough about when you have no way to defend yourself to see in the night. It's terrifying, and they still send you out on missions like that. But once you have those skills, nighttime becomes, it's still stressful because even leading up to it, they give you like an announcement and another announcement, and it's really, really creepy the way they do it.
They tell you, like, it's cool, like, it's in-game, well done. You're like, nighttime is coming, get your ass to a safe house. You better get there soon,
You know the drill. Yeah. And then there'd be like that beep or something.
Your watch beep. You had to watch.
Yeah, you had to
check your watch
beep in the sky. It's turning into nighttime, and that was the big issue I had with Dead Island. And it's something I don't remember except in Undead Nightmare or actually the first Dead Rising, where there is a day-night cycle. A day-night change. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because in Dead Island you're all day, every day. It's always day.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And
that's a funny point.
Yeah, and I just can't speak enough to that mechanic.
I agree. Another thing, like, so two things, like, agree. Like, you get double XP at night is like one of the major things, right? So if you want to like start like power leveling your character, like there are 3 skill trees. There's agility, right, power, and survival XP.
Yes.
Right. So like each one of those is its own skill tree. And each there are many other skills attached to each specific one. And you get, so if you're climbing all the buildings and stuff, you'll get agility XP. If you're fighting zombies at night, you'll get the combat XP, and if you do like missions, essentially, you're like there are random little like repeatedly randomly generate encounters, so you can save a survivor who is trapped, and that's survivor XP, which also has its own skill tree.
Right.
But at night, all that shit is doubled. So like I abused it a little bit. Like I found a way to abuse it, and like that's sort of me. That's how I play games. The example, what I did was I would find like a building to jump onto at night where nobody could get me, but because it was night, I'd be getting double. Or like if you survive the whole night,
you just jump up and down between the things.
Exactly. I jump between one building and the next, and there's nobody there to get me. Like nobody sees me, so I'm just like hopping around, basically like parkouring from one to the next, like infinitely until night's over. And if you survive a whole night, you get like a whole bunch of like night survived, and like also like unseen by other zombies, whatever. So like that's like there's like 3 stacks of bonus XP you could get by doing that. But regardless, it was still fun. And when I really was in like a harrowing, like being chased by, that was really fun too.
Yeah.
And it was more of kind of a catharsis because like, oh shit, man, I just outran like a million like things that were after me. And they didn't see me, I fucking stealthed them, and I got all this XP. It was a very good, like, XP, like carrot and stick kind of thing, reward.
Yeah. And 2 things to that. Number 1, I really liked the way they ran the skill trees because everything wasn't. You sometimes had to pick something you didn't want to do to get to something you want to do.
Yeah.
It reminded me a lot of Far Cry 3 in that way. So that part I thought was really, really cool. But oh dear, I had a point about comparing it to Dead Island. Oh yeah, what this game had was actual strategy because there's a gas station you have to get stuff from, and there's various bosses and various types of things, and you had to get stuff from buses, and only certain buses had these things. And you actually had to work out a strategy, which in a lot of zombie days...
How am I going to get through this and do it?
Dead Island especially, there is no strategy. It's
murder all the zombies and get to where you're going.
Yeah, and if you're in the city, you're fucked because that's where all the infected are. And, it's just like... So the one thing I also appreciated that there was an element of strategy in... all your parkouring.
Agreed. Like I said, the level design was really good. Like they knew they had the parkour mechanic, so therefore the cities were designed like buildings were awesome to jump onto. The grappling hook thing was amazing.
Yeah,
that was a great mechanic. Yeah, you grappling hook up to a building and then start jumping around, and like you can even use the grappling hook twice in a row. So like the recharge rate on it was like slower, or it would be more of it. And to your point, like earlier, yes, the story was like so at the end of the day, but that's sort of what I expect. Any zombie game, sort of like, check out our podcast where we discuss zombie games in general. But yeah, I didn't expect a great story out of it, but many of the side quests were very interesting as hell, and like almost better than the main story themselves, like, all right, I'll just real quickly mention my favorite one was you hear a broadcast, like a message coming from like a shop, right, or like a shopping mart or something, and it's like, to anyone who can hear this, it's sort of Australianish accent, the accents differed in this game, so but it was like, to anyone who can hear this, we need help, please come save us, and you go in there, And like a psychopath is luring people into the supermarket in order to murder them. Like he's not a zombie himself. Yes, there are zombie corpses scattered throughout, and also like non-zombie corpses. And like it gets increasingly menacing. He's like, he knows you're in there. He's like, to anyone who can hear this, I'm gonna fucking kill you. Like it gets like, you know, it was very well done. It voice actingly, and like a very nice little side quest. You know, like they almost subverted it in a sense. You know, in many in a previous Dead Island, you would just go there and like, oh, this guy needs help, whatever. Like, no, you're the prey now by a psychopath.
Well, the thing I liked about it was in these side quests, and this one especially, is there's actually depth of character. I mean, a lot of times you have psychopaths for the same sake of having a psychopath. This guy was definitely baiting and trap you. I mean, this guy had just gone off the rail. It wasn't just a militant who was just like, oh, you know, you're still. It wasn't some kind of bullshit thing. There's actually thought given into these side quests, which I really, really like.
Exactly, agreed. Each one was sort of its own separate story. Like, you know, I guess we sing Bethesda's praises all the time, but like they're almost that quality of it. Like another quick example. There was one where a guy named Jeff built his own fort. He's like, "Welcome to Jeffertown or Jeffer City or whatever." City. And then like, you know, he has his own little quest line unto himself. So like I said, like the main storyline is a little bland, but all the side stuff was so interesting. Like. And it sort of like made up for that in a sense.
Well, the reason I bring up the serviceable story now, and I'm just going to segue into it because I mean, the problem with something like that is you really have to know what story you're telling. You have to know your game. So if you got a serviceable storyline, you have to know that. Mm-hmm. And I've been really fond of saying the devils are in the details, and it's the little things that matter and little continuities. And if you have a serviceable story, you know, really, really revel in their side quests, but when you get to the last quarter of the game, when things are starting to ramp up, don't act like you've got a big payoff coming.
Yeah.
Like, Far Cry 3 really subverted your expectations because once you got halfway through the once you got halfway through the game, you killed the main antagonist, but your choice at the end was a morality choice, okay? So it built up to something, there was something impactful. This game, the problem I have...
You railroad it in like a meaningless way, essentially.
First of all, you go to a museum and you're given the most awesome array of weapons.
It was a jerk-off mission.
Yeah. Then you fight your way through a bunch of Rices, that's the bad guys, you know, armed men, which requires some strategy. Then you go and you rescue Jade, this woman you've been trying to get to. She's been infected. She gives you the treatment. Mm. She turns...
The antidote.
Yeah. She turns, you kill her, and then you fight Rice's bad man, right-hand man, and you fight him in the dark without your gear with a dull machete, and it's just like being in the dark, being hit with a bag of oranges. It was just the most ridiculous thing. You don't even get Rice. To get to Rice, you have to run a parkour gauntlet in the sewers.
Which is just stupidly annoying. It's padding. Padding.
But that's my point. It's complete padding. You do that, and you have to parkour up the building, and you're fighting all these guys, and it's the exact same shit you've been doing all game, and you build up to 3 quick time events, and bam, and it's the story ending you knew you were going to get.
It's extremely anticlimactic in that sense, but I had so much fun with it, just dicking around doing other stuff like that. We put like 50 hours into it, and I didn't think I was going to get that much at all, even close to that many hours out of this game. But because I had so much fun, and you know, the mechanics worked so well in that sense. You know, yeah, sure. I ignored the main storyline just to dick around and do fun stuff.
And so did I. And I thought all the side characters you met weren't just kind of like, they weren't just like, you know, that one Russian lady going, "Bring me my champagne." You know? I mean, there's actually some depth of it.
Exactly.
Like, when you talk to that guy who was taking care of the kids would send you on quests.
Yeah.
And they were all really, really cool, and the atmosphere is really creepy. But as I said, the end of the game was padded, and I immediately drove myself nuts staying up to 3 o'clock in the morning to finish this game because the last 2 games that were padded, I didn't finish, and I basically 5 games that are basically with the DLCs are $80 each. I don't want to pay for another game that I'm not going to finish. So I finished the ending, and I really have to say the last quarter of this game was everything about it I hated.
It was the weakest part, but regardless, all that the looting and the crafting was really good too.
Yeah, the looting, the crafting.
It's based on
great.
the Dead Island stuff, but it was more streamlined in that sense, and I thought it was better overall than versus the Dead Island stuff. And there's one more thing, like speaking of side quests, I think one of my favorite ones, maybe up there, is you find a director of films, and he's like,
oh yeah,
he's like, I happen to be stuck in a zombie apocalypse. It's so much cheaper to shoot film. Like, he's like, why don't you go kill some zombies and I'll film you? And like, that was a really funny and fun side quest to do. And like, moments like that, again, as we both said, those kinds of side quests made up for like the blandness of the main story. And so, you know, it was so much fun to do that. I was like, I laughed out loud when that happened. I was like, that's really funny. Like, it would be true. Like, of course it's cheaper to shoot a zombie apocalypse in a real zombie apocalypse. And so I would do his like stupid little side quests and have a lot of fun doing it. So yeah, overall,
I agree. In the little challenge maps like the underground garage or the
quarantine zones,
the quarantine zones, those are really, really great. So my final thoughts on the game are the ending. The last quarter of the ending was awful. I mean, my thing is play 3/4 of the game, then watch the ending on YouTube. And it's not just me; it's the guys making the video that are like, "Oh, come on, really? Come on, this is ridiculous. Why are we doing this? This is ridiculous." You know. So it's not just me saying it. So overall, I'd say 3/4 of the game, 3/4 of the game was really, really great, awesome. The last quarter really, really was just a lot of padding and no payoff.
Agreed. It was lackluster, but overall, like, you could just stick, like I said, play it and dick around and, like, you know, parkour around the city and fight some zombies and mess around with the weapons and the crafting and the day-night cycle, like, you know, fight zombies at night. All of that was extremely fun. And, like, so, yeah.
I'm going to say one more thing about the crafting and so forth. With the crafting, with the money, it doesn't happen until you get to the end where you actually can stockpile. So it actually, to its credit, it's not like a lot of games where you basically halfway through the game you bought all the things you can craft all the things you can craft.
Let me rebut. No, you every safe house you can store shit in your bag. So like,
yeah,
it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, like, in a lot of games like Assassin's Creed 3, like, by the time you're making all this money, you have nothing to spend it on.
That's true. You're right.
You've used up your skill trees, you've used up everything. This did a really good job of
You're right.
Really
the weapons scale with you. So, like, it's everything you can buy and or craft or find is useful because it scales up with you. I agree with that. And it was fun to experiment with that kind of stuff. So, yeah. You know,
okay, go on.
Ignore the main story, maybe, for the most part, and just stick around and kill zombies with interesting and fun combinations of weapons and crafting. And do the side quests. Ignore the main story.
Exactly. I'm going to say this, my final thoughts on it. Dying Light, the sum of the parts is better than the whole game.
Agreed. So check it out.
And that is PvP.
That's it for PvP tonight. We'll see you next time.
Good night now.
This has been Syntax Error. Thank you as always for listening, and we will see you next time. Music by Stephen Hermosi. Editing and engineering by Chris Morgan. Syntax Error is part of a Lost Signals Productions. All rights reserved.